Okay, this is my continuing series that I'm calling Black Sheep, and it's black sheep in the context of, someone who's the black sheep of the family. So if I'm wearing a black hat, it means I'm a black sheep. And if I put on a white hat, then that's a sheep person or a sheeple. But often on the internet, if you look that up, sheeple people are defined. For me, a sheeple people is someone who belongs to the culture of conformity, someone who um, might pretend to think for themselves and often has a lot of opinions, but they get their opinions from other people, from authority figures. Science is a big one. Science says. Sheeple people say that all the time. Science says this is what's true. They say that all the time. And sheeple people, well, some sheeple people are very addicted to checking out the facts. Did you go to Snopes to check this? And Snopes is their authority figure. Some people who are these kind of people are very well versed in like Latin terms for how to have a proper argument. These are the people that know what ad hominem attack means. Straw man. These people know these things. They're amateur debaters. But they're still sheeple. Some people's idea is, I did the research. I hear this a lot. I know. I did the research. And I go, I'm a black hat, a black sheep person. And I said, you did the research? Huh? What have you got a PhD in this subject? No. I went on the internet. I looked it up. I did my research. Sheeple people don't do original research. They don't. Their idea of doing research is to get on the internet and use Google and see what it says. And then I did my research. If Google says that this is so, then that's the way it is. That's just the way it is. I mean, if it's there, Google found it, that's the way it is. That's a fact. Some people are more willing to do a few more searches, check out a few more links on Google. And once they've checked out a few links, they've done the research. Yeah, I checked a few links. I know. That's the way it is. They never stop to think that maybe the links that Google is giving you are prioritized by Google so that you get these particular links, and anything that doesn't fit in with those ideas, they're not going to show it to you. Google wouldn't do that. Oh, yes, they do. some of them are going to be really smart. And they say, I know, I check Google, and then I go to like DuckDuckDuck and that other search engine, so I check two search engines. I got the same information in both, so, it's a fact. They've got huge blinders on. Who does? These sheeple people. They don't really want to know anything other than what they can get their hands on easily and quickly. Or it might have been somebody who is a PhD. I read someone's book. They had a PhD in God knows what, and they wrote a book, and they put it in, fairly prominently that they have a PhD. And I read the book, and I had a comment, and I emailed the person. And the person had great blinders on. I read their book. I bought their book. But they were unwilling to consider what I had to say. They wrote it off immediately. Wrote it right off. No, 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 no. And the person you're talking about, because I was talking about another person who had a different opinion, and this PhD person, don't listen to that person. Don't listen to them. They're wrong. So, yes, even people who have got PhDs are incredibly opinionated. And there's zero wiggle room in their professional opinion. Zero. One time, when I was just young, I was just out of university, and I was working for a very large corporation. And we had a problem. We locally, our local office was delivered a lawsuit. And so I opened it up and I took a look at it. And then back in those days, we used a fax machine. Believe it or not, that doesn't seem that long ago, but it was a long time ago. And I faxed it off to my boss because I thought he needed it more quickly than, me couriering it to him. He needed to see it right away. So I faxed it. And I'm sure he faxed it to his boss. And that boss faxed it to his boss. There was a lot of bosses in this chain. And I was like, a funny thing, they called me a manager. I was a district manager. But it was an incorrect term. I was a sales rep. They just tried to make it sound like a better job, but there was so much management above me. I didn't manage anyone. Well, we had some people that we had contracts with, and I was supposed to be the local. I didn't really manage them because they were contracts. It wasn't like they were my employees. They weren't my employees. But that was the title they gave me. But, I was just the local representative, and I had zero say. I couldn't make any decisions. I mean, it wasn't that I wasn't capable of making decisions, but I had no authority to make a decision at all, unless it was totally delegated to me to make a decision. And if there was a bill, if a bill came in and it was under $100, I could sign off on it and send it to accounting. If it was under $100, anything over $100, it had to go to my boss. So anyway, the lawsuit came, And for some reason, after it went up the chain of command, because I was in um, my local area and we didn't have a corporate lawyer um, in our area, they told me, well, we need a lawyer, so go get a lawyer. I was about 25 years old, out of university, and I was what's known as wet behind the ears. In other words, very green, someone who had zero experience in the real world. But they said, go get a lawyer, so I used a connection, and we got a lawyer. I didn't know this person. I knew the connection, but the connection didn't take the job. They passed it on to someone else that I didn't know. Anyways, this person was a lawyer or an attorney, a solicitor, and they charged a fortune. Every time they phoned me, or I rarely phoned them, but they phoned me and they charged for the time. They had a machine that for every minute that they talked, they would send us an enormous bill, which I would fax to my boss, and he would freak out. Horrible bills, legal bills, horrible. Anyways, this lawyer was supposed to defend this lawsuit. After a lot of waiting around, finally, I didn't go to the court. I don't know how it all worked out. The lawyer did what they did, and then, head office phoned the regional office, and the regional office phoned the area office, and the area office phoned me, and they told me, we lost the case. And then another branch of the company, completely different branch of the company, they got their noses out of joint, and they said, well, you hired a shitty lawyer. We know a lawyer that's in that area. This is the lawyer you should have used. These were senior people in another division. These were people that were at least in their 40s. They'd been in business for 15, 20 years. And they couldn't get their shit together and use the proper lawyer, one that they had faith in, because they didn't talk amongst each other. They didn't talk amongst each other. These senior people in different divisions of the company, they hated each other. They hated each other. In fact, my boss from my division told me never, ever, ever talk to these people in this other division of the company. Same company. Never talk to them. Never, ever tell them anything. And he looked at me fiercely, and he was a big man. He was a big farmer, huge man. And, I'm pretty slight. Anyways, he looked at me and towered over me, and he said, Dad, what does it mean? Sheeple people. Sheeple people are very territorial, and they don't like to communicate. Sheeple people are losing lawsuits because they won't talk to one another. They would rather not talk to one another and lose the lawsuit than get together and come up with a good strategy. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and look at some more of my videos on sheeple people and black sheep.